Hello, everyone. Welcome to a Friday edition of the Computer America Show. Got a great program planned for you. Mike Miller, author extraordinaire, Computer America correspondent, is here with us. It's the last Friday of the month, and we're going to be talking about everything from his cable service to Windows 9 to Bitcoin, you name it. We'll kind of all over the road, maybe discuss a couple of new movies that are forthcoming. So sit back, relax, enjoy the show. We'll be starting in about 1 minute.
1 minute until showtime.
By the way, the furry little creature is Ben.
I take offense to that.
Why?
Yeah. Just do.
You look very happy. You're very yeah. Yeah. I see you're opening your mouth, but not saying anything.
Yeah. Needs work on that one at least.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, he's cute. I would consider having him as a pet in our home. All right. 30 seconds. Oh, God. What is that? Where did that come from? Okay, here we go.
One does not talk to mouths are that way.
Okay.
Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Broadcasting live, it's America's longest-running national radio talk show on computers, Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. Look for Craig's weekly column in your favorite newspaper. This show is being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. Keep it here for technology news, computer products, guest interviews, and your phone calls. You're listening to Computer America.
Hello and welcome into the Computer America Show. It's the nation's longest-running, nationally syndicated radio talk show on computers. Computer America is heard around the world and coast to coast. I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear
Craig Crossman.
Happy birthday
Oh, gee.
to you.
That's so nice. Yes, it's my birthday. I wanted to be subtle about it for the heck.
There you go.
There you go.
So yeah, I know. What does that make you? 83?
No, 38 again. Come on.
Oh, my bad. I had the numbers, flipped back and forth. That'll do it.
That was it, exactly. Well, it is, as you know, it is Friday! Once again, another week of broadcasting excellence in the can, okay? And so, there you go. And as we have a great show planned for tonight, of course, it's Friday. That means we're going to have a show reminder winner of the week. Yeah. Some lucky person going to win a really nice prize from our good friends over at Logitech. Last night's show was a lot of fun. We got a lot of people watching it, and we hope that you will go to our live our archives page and see.
It's if you haven't seen it, it really is worth the watch.
Yes, well, because and as they promised, they gave they gave us. Okay, you gave Ben a copy of the software, and now the cat is out of the bag. I'm now looking at a happy hamburger, and so if you watch, here's what you need to do. Here's what you need to do. Of course, watch our live Computer America video streaming page. All right, just go to our homepage at ComputerAmerica.com. You'll see right there on the homepage it says live video and chat. The live Computer America video streaming page is right there. That, of course, that's brought to you by Other World Computing, quality products. Expert support since 1988. They're celebrating their 25th anniversary for all of your computing needs, whether it be memory for your legacy computer or for your current computer, hard drives, solid-state drives, RAID systems, you name it. They've got it. They've got it at great prices at Other World Computing. just check it out at www.macsales.com for all your computing needs. Anything, any order that's over $49, they even give you free ground shipping, which 80% of the country, you get your product in 2 days. It's just that quick. So whatever your computing needs, please check them first because you're going to get some of the best deals there. www.macsales.com. Okay? So yes, check out the video page because Ben is taking it beyond what we did last night. Yeah, I can see the mustard. You can
That's cheese, sir. That's
cheese.
cheese.
Cheese. Okay, exactly. Smile and say cheese. Takes it to the ultimate expression there. So you can watch everything on our live video streaming page, and you can see what Ben is doing. It's absolutely phenomenal. It's still in beta. It comes from Romania. We had them on last night, FaceRig, but it really is quite different, and we encourage you to join us. Of course, you can also call us. Any questions you have, comments, suggestions at 347-884-8881. That's 347-884-8881. We'll get you on and get you through. Email is live, LIVE, at computeramerica.com. You can also join us in our live interactive IRC chat room. It's on our live Computer America video streaming page. It'll ask you for a nickname. That's the name you'll be known by when you go in there. Put in the CAPTCHA, which is either a number or some words. It'll verify that you are who you say you are. You're not a bot. And click the connect button, and your browser will move you into the chat room. We also offer several different IRCs, so you can format it in a more eye-pleasing manner, but that's completely optional. So those are the different ways you can communicate with us, and we're going to get the show started right now. Michael Miller is our guest. He's the author of well over 150 books on technology, such as The Idiot's Guide to Google+, My Pinterest, Facebook for Grown-Ups, as well as many other subjects too, like The Idiot's Guide to Conducting Music and B2B Digital Marketing. Mike is one of our Computer America correspondents every last Friday of the month. Mike, welcome into Computer America. How the heck are you?
Hey, Craig, how you doing? And our little bat-like friend, or is he a dragon? I can't tell what he is today.
It's a dragon.
Well, when you're a thumbnail, it's just a bat. So.
Well, no, so when he's speaking though, you should see him full screen, right?
I should, but he was silent, so he was.
Oh.
Yeah, but
he was not a dragon.
Yeah,
and I'll probably take us off right about now. But and I know it's kind of bleeding over from last night's guest, and and I just want to get out of the way now. But this thing, it's when they say it's in beta, you can definitely tell that there's some tweaking that can still be done with it. But I mean, it's loads of fun. It's really easy to use with anything that requires a webcam. Like anywhere that you would select the input of a webcam, it would just you just select the input as FaceRig instead, and you can do all this with it. But I mean, with a better webcam and a little bit better setting and whatnot, is going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, you see, because there's no all the motion detection, Mike, is being done through the webcam. And the microphone.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there's no special. He doesn't have to have any special equipment. No Kinect is necessary. That type of thing. It's just using the webcam and some very special artificial, some intelligent software to do this type of thing. And my worry is that it's going to break because there's so many different things that you can do with it. And I think we just lost Ben. Or Ben, are you still there?
No, I'm still here. I'm just changing it.
Oh, you're just changing it. Okay. All right. Anyhow, let's see. I talked about the show reminder win of the week. Got that Friday. Got that coming up. We talked about all the cool stuff that we're doing. We talked about how you can reach us, and I think we got everything going here. So let's get started. I gave out the phone numbers. Okay, that's all done. So, Mike, I understand that you. Oh, that's a really interesting character. Man, look at that.
Oh yeah, I know. It's crazy.
So lifelike.
I don't think the voice matches the mouth movements, though.
No, not quite as well.
I don't.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about some of the things that you. I understand that you have a little necessarily a complaint or something with your cable modem service, which you thought might be interesting for all. Oh, I know what else it is. I'm sorry. I know what else to mention. You can follow everything that we're doing tonight. Go onto our show notes page at computeramerica.com. You'll see today's show, which is September the 26th. And you'll see that we have a link to Mike's website, and I've placed some of the topics that we're going to be talking about tonight. This first one, however, is not in there because this was a last-moment thing that Mike wanted to talk about. But again, you can follow along with us on our show notes page. And it has to do with your cable modem service, Comcast, I believe, right?
Yeah, Comcast, the most customer-friendly company in the Western Hemisphere.
Uh-huh.
Actually, they've been pretty good. I've had Comcast up here now for about 6.5 years, and for my internet and for my cable, and they've been okay. I mean, generally my only complaints is when I actually have to go to their office to get something, like to exchange a cable box, and you wait in line an hour for a 5-second transaction, that sort of thing. But in general, the stuff works, and I don't have a problem with them. Well, I don't know, 6-8 months ago or so, I got an automated call from my pals at Comcast saying, "Hi, to upgrade your your internet service, you must upgrade your new modem from Comcast. Please go to our webpage and fill out the form." And
oh,
yeah, fine, that's cool. And I read up on, and yeah, to get the latest, the fastest internet, they're upgrading their modem technology. Fine, that's cool. So I go to the website, I fill out the form, I click the button, and a month goes by. Then I get a letter in the mail. Then I get a letter in the mail saying, we're upgrading our cable, our internet service at Comcast, and to take full advantage of it, you need to upgrade your modem. Please go to our website and fill in the form.
That's called lag.
Yeah. So I go, well, I did that a month ago, but okay, I'll go back. I did that again. Another month goes by, and I get an automated phone call. "Hello, this is Comcast. To upgrade our internet service, you must go to our webpage." So I did that. And then another month goes by, and I get a letter in the mail. And finally, after about 6 months of this, they've actually finally sent me the thing. I thought it was just filling out endless forms for no reason, but no, they finally sent me the cable modem at that point in time. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I didn't care one way or the other; it was working fine for me. But they didn't just send me a cable modem. No, they sent me a gateway, a modem with a router built in. Mm-hmm. Well, surprisingly, I already had a router. I guess I'm odd that way, at the forefront of technology, actually having a Wi-Fi network in my house. But, I actually, it was a nice router. It's a nice little Linksys or Cisco router, 802.GN, the whole bit, and 5 gigahertz and 2.4 gigahertz. And my network here at home is rather complex and precarious. I've actually got 2 routers in different parts of the house bridged together, and that whole bit is really jerry-rigged. And, I really, don't want to break it. Yeah, is my whole thing. But here they sent me a new cable modem which has the router built in, and I didn't want the router. So I go online and chatting with what I presume is a live person at Comcast, because that's a lot better than trying to call them on the phone, which of course they have no human beings to answer the phone. I believe they use trained orangutans to answer their phones normally. But they appeared to have at least an orangutan who could type, doing the little chat window thing, So I said, "Why did you send me a cable modem with a router built in?" Well, that's just what, so, we just send out what equipment we have, and sometimes we do that. And if you don't, I go, "Well, I already have a router. Why would I want to use what? I don't need another router. So waste of equipment." He goes, "Well, we can deactivate the router in your gateway and put it into bridge mode." I go, "Well, how do I do that?" I go, "Well, you don't do that. We have to do it here from the home office." And I read up on that, because I read up on things, because I'm a writer, it kind of goes both ways. And and they said, well, yes, they can put it into bridge mode and deactivate the router, which lasts exactly until you have to reboot it at some point in time. As soon as you unplug it, that instruction gets lost from its memory, and it goes back into normal router mode, and you have to call the office again to have them put it into bridge mode. So it's like, oh, I don't want to do that. And they go, well, you can send back the the gateway if you want, but then you don't take advantage of the faster speeds and blah blah blah. So finally, I got around to hooking up the darn thing and taking it down the old router, and and one thing I got to say, well, one thing, it's a downgrade in some ways and an upgrade in others. It's a downgrade because my old router was both 2.4 gigahertz and 5 gigahertz. I could use the higher bandwidth, which for some media stuff's a little faster. Mm-hmm. This one is only 2.4 gigahertz. But it is wireless G. So they've taken all of the power that would typically go up on the 5 gigahertz band and put it all in the 2.4 gigahertz band. And the end result is I've got a router that has a significantly longer range than my old router had.
Okay.
So even though I can't use the 5 gigahertz connection, I do have a little bit wider, further range on it. But it just seems odd to me that they sent me out this thing that I didn't ask for and that I didn't want, and I had to, spend a whole morning getting it connected and whatnot. Whereas if they would have just sent me a cable modem, I could have unplugged the old one, plugged in the new one, and nobody would have been the wiser.
Mm-hmm.
That story is probably, not to say it wasn't, in the least bit stressful, but the other ones that are making the headlines, especially concerning Comcast, they don't exactly have the best customer support. So for that to happen to you, not surprised, but let's just say it's been worse.
And I'll tell you something else about this. Now, I don't know whether it is the case with my particular router or not, but the story going the rounds on various websites is that a lot of these gateways that they're sending out are by default configured to have a public connection as well as a private connection. What Comcast wants to do is have enough of their little gateways out there in the world so that as you roam the suburbs, that you can stay connected to one of their hotspots, essentially using the routers in people's private homes as a public hotspot without their knowledge in most cases.
Oh.
Now it's a secure thing. I mean, it's not interfering with my network, but it's using, I was going to say my equipment, but it's not my equipment anymore. It's their equipment now. So I assume they can do that. They are doing it, but I'm not sure how I feel about that. If they're going to use my router as kind of a public Wi-Fi access hotspot, that's there's something hinky about that I don't like.
Mm.
I don't. At least I personally haven't heard anything about the whole. If Comcast sends out enough of these routers without permission, we can eventually cover the entire world in our own little network. Haven't heard of that, but yeah, it's. I actually have the exact same thing. I have AT&T and not Comcast, but I've tried asking for a modem and not a router modem duo combo, and the only thing that they'll give you nowadays, it seems pretty standard. I guess they just either fed up with it or they aren't in the business of sending out two pieces of equipment. They're just kind of putting it all in one, which at least for AT&T, that's the only thing they'll give you. You can't.
And I think that's the same thing with Comcast now. But here's another question: what does Linksys and Cisco and Netgear and all those guys think about that? Because now I don't have to go out and buy a route. If I needed to buy a new router for one reason or another, well, I don't. I've got this thing, and I can't hook up a router to it because it is a router. So I put Cisco out of business here. I mean, what do those guys feel about this?
Well, let me interject here, Cole. First of all, I know Ben has a Uverse, which from AT&T, and I do know they offer two different flavors. They have the wired and they have the wireless. They're trying to go completely wireless. But I asked for them if they would, put a wired version because it was my experience. It's been my experience that in the house that he's in, we have concrete walls, and where the router is based, it's very difficult to get to them without an extender. So we actually asked for a wired version, and we actually put it up to the
But you can't get a modem and a router. You can only get the built-in, the two built into one.
Right, exactly. But so now, and you have an excellent point. You're not supposed to put a router in a router. If you have something with a router, you should have to turn the router off, and then go into the external router. And obviously there are a lot of nicer features. I mean, Netgear makes some amazing routers now that that you would not be privy to unless you turn it off. The only thing I can think of is that make sure that you have the modem and of course the router on a UPS. So if there is a power failure, then you won't have to do a reboot and won't have to do a restart. That's the only thing that comes to mind. Other than that, as you say, you might not be able to use the devices that you want. You're being forced into using it. Something that's from the internet service provider that you're subscribing to.
Yeah, and I might be happy with it today, and in fact, I actually am. It is work. It's working a little bit old router did, but 2 years from now, when router technology keeps improving and we have the next Wi-Fi standard and stuff, what am I going to do? I mean, I had my last cable modem for 6 years before it got upgraded. 6 years from now, what's router technology going to be like? And is Comcast going to send me out, a new and improved gateway? No, they're probably not, because they're only doing it for their own standpoint. Actually, the other thing I've read, that one of the reasons that they're doing this is that with this new type of gateway, this new cable modem that's built into it, they can more easily throttle my data speeds if they want to. If I happen to be using too much bandwidth or whatnot, it's easier for them to throttle it at the headquarters.
All right.
So I'm glad I'm helping them do that, for me. Helping them manage my internet usage for me. I really appreciate them doing that. I don't know what I'd do without them helping me in that regard.
That is still the goofiest thing to me. If you, let's say you're Craig Crossman, you're paying for 100 megabytes a second, and you feel like you need to use 100 megabytes a second for 31 days for a month. They are going to come they'll actually flip a switch and they'll throttle you probably about 2 weeks into it. It's even though you're paying for 100 megabits a second, if you actually use that, they will cut your service. It's just odd to
me. They sort of have you over the barrel.
False advertising, if anything.
Well, but
I don't know why they don't do it like the phone companies do it. They just charge you for X amount of gigabytes. You go over it, they sell you another 15 gig or whatever, and everybody's happy, more or less. So,
I think it's all about control, Mike. With this equipment, they can control or throttle or regulate things that that they would probably not be able to do if you were using a different brand of router.
Yeah. And of course, everybody's big fear is that they're just going to cut off Netflix to everybody, which of course would be in Comcast's best interest to cut off Netflix to everybody, I suppose, since they're a cable company too.
Well, now are you a big Netflix fan? You watch it?
Me not so much, but other members of the household, yes. So we get our money's worth out of the $8.99 a month that you get out of that. Best deal going, really.
Yeah.
Considering that you give out your password to all of your relatives, so you have like 25 people using the same subscription. So.
Well, it's.
Ben, are you paying for your Netflix, Ben?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I pay for my Netflix too. I pay for two, but they always have some good movies. I just watched 3 Days to Kill, which is the latest movie from with I'm blocking his name. Well-known actor in it, and I seen a preview for it. Just a couple of months ago, and here it is up on Netflix. So I got to watch it. Kevin Costner, that's it, was in the movie 3 Days to Kill. So it was a good movie. I enjoyed it, and so I do get my money's worth. I think for $8.99 a month, there's a lot of movies and alternative programming that I get to watch. So it is good.
Well, I can compare that $8.99 a month, which gets used by multiple people in multiple households, in my case, and Netflix knows that goes on, and that's cool. Compared to the $250 a month I pay to Comcast outside of the internet service, mind you, just for the cable stuff, which is the $9 a month for Netflix or the $250 a month to Comcast.
Well, let me
probably the Netflix deal is a better deal.
Let's do the weighing, the balancing act here. Now we have 200 here, and I've got $8.99 here. Which two would I rather?
Greg, I don't think you have arms long enough to really show the ratio that's going on.
Because the way that it is on cable, well, how many different people are watching it? They don't care. It's just how many cable boxes you have, and they charge an extra $10 for this one, an extra $20 if it's a HD, and even more than that if it's an HD with a DVR. And we got one in this room, and one in this room, and one in this room, and you want the HBO package, and you want this, and blah, 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 blah. And pretty soon I'm going broke every month. So.
Yeah, and then also that you want the home sharing, so you can share the information from one DVR to another DVR. They got the whole home sharing now on DirecTV, so.
And then you want power to it. That's another $8 a month. It's just.
They charge you for electricity too. Yeah, exactly.
There was a story about a month ago, I think, where HBO was finally in talks about selling their programming without a cable subscription.
Yeah. HBO Go.
Yeah.
Well, not HBO Go, but I think they were talking with Amazon, with Amazon Prime, and they were going to give some of their programming, because right now the only way to get HBO is to either have a cable subscription and then pay for HBO, which I think, you know, cable and HBO, like HBO is kind of helping keeping cable afloat, because, you know, you can't, because lots of people love HBO, they just don't like having to pay for full-blown cable for it. But I mean, it's the only way to get it. And it has been that way forever. It's just now HBO is finally, you know, willing to talk to other people about selling their programming.
Right. Of course, it's not only HBO though. You know, there's the Movie Channel and Cinemax and Stars, and there are a lot of other.
HBO is the prime one though. All the others are nice add-ons, but I mean, HBO is the real package seller.
Well, you know what? Really, what they bring to the table is not only the movies, but the special programs that they produce. You know, that you can only find. Like, for example, I've been watching a Banshee on Cinemax. You know, and that's the only place you can get it. So if you don't get Cinemax, you can't watch Banshee. So there are shows that are specific to the service, to the cable channel, like HBO or what have you. So there are those. It used to be the attraction was which movies they were carrying, but now they're having this original programming, you know, that they're bringing, and it's a feature of that particular channel. So it just makes it more appealing, you know, and that's making it. I think original programming is the next step for a lot of these channels. Because I mean, how many movies are you gonna be able to watch? But you know,
I mean, that's what Netflix is you know, hanging their hat on, which is original programming.
Yeah, House of Cards and the new the New Black, and they
have a lot of new content coming out. You know.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry.
No, just saying that they have a lot of new content. They have a new animated show, and they even take shows that have been canceled and they bring them back, and they, you know, kickstart new seasons with them.
Yeah, it's true. And you know, when they do things like that, you can binge watch, which is a lot of fun. You can watch the whole thing, you know, in 24 hours or 12 or 13 hours. Just watch from start to end, you know, and that's good. And no commercial interruptions.
Breaking Bad said that's what, you know, kind of made the TV series, you know, do so well, was offering it on Netflix and letting people, you know. Because sometimes you jump into things that are like, you know, in their last season or coming up to their last season, and if you haven't been following it and they're 4 seasons in, that can actually be a deterrent to people, because they're like, oh, I won't know anyone, I don't know the storyline, yada yada yada. But when you make it easy for people to binge watch and catch up, I mean, that's what made Breaking Bad so popular.
Yeah,
was
but
offering it on Netflix.
Here's the other insidious thing, Ben and Mike. I found this the other day, and I sort of knew it, but I didn't really experience it until. I missed a couple of shows for a new show on ABC called Forever. It's about this guy who can't die; he's immortal, you know. And it looked like an interesting series. I caught an ad for it on one of the shows that was recording, and I said, "Oh!" And I missed the first 2 episodes. So I wanted to see if I could get it on demand. Sure enough, you can go to ABC on demand and get it. And I went ahead and did it. And guess what? I can't do when you get it. A show what ABC has done. You can't fast forward. So they cripple the fast forward button. So when you come to commercials, you can't skip over them like when you recorded it already. So they've actually crippled it. So they work with the different with the DVRs or the companies to make sure that, okay, you can watch it on demand, but you got to watch everything. And so, you know, there it is. So that wasn't any fun. So
well, but that's pretty common though. I mean, if you watch on Comcast anyway. You know, if you watch something that's been broadcast over the past week or so, you know, relatively new show, they throw in all the commercials and they disable fast forwarding. I mean, that's just standard. Now, once it gets a little bit of age on it, they'll let you, you know, scoot through things, or in some cases even take the commercials out. But anything that fresh on Comcast, just like watching it live, better to DVR it, you know, and that way you can. That's what not on demand.
Well, on demand, but see, on demand you record it. In other words, you don't
record it, you download it.
You download it, right? And you can watch it. It's there, like any other show. Except, unlike any other show where you can fast forward, those particular recordings, they won't let you fast forward. That's it. They will not.
And that was probably a deal with ABC. Like that wasn't just their deal. It's probably, if you know, ABC said, if you're going to carry our shows, you have to make the commercials, you know, make them sit through the commercials.
But you know what's so frustrating is that so far on the on-demand, when they make you sit there and you're hitting the fast forward, but it says you can't fast forward, you can't fast forward. It's the same commercials. Every 15 minutes, you watch the same 5 commercials over, and it's the same 5. At least give me some variety of commercials. No, it's the same 5 commercials over and over and over and over again. And they have like about 5 or 6 commercial breaks in there, and you watch these same 5 commercials. They give you a countdown. This is commercial 1 of 5. This is, and it's the same 5. You know, you want to pitch.
I don't want to say anything, but Craig, I can tell you for a fact, Computer America, no hair removal, Brother Wolf Animal Shelter.
Yes, but you can fast forward to it when you're watching the. Yeah, you could do that. You can't do it with ABC. I mean, and I'm sure there's probably other ones too that they won't let you do it. The same 5 commercials over and over again.
One other thing I wanted to bring up: are either of you a fan of the show True Detectives?
No.
Never seen it.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind. It's like a drama with detectives, and it's on HBO, I believe. And before it had I'm blocking his name out. But next season they're supposed to bring in, and again, it's all drama.
Pretty much as we said.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. So so where do we leave off? Oh, we're at the bottom of the hour. So let's commercial break, and it's going to be the same one too. No, this is the Computer America show on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the Boost Radio Network, on the IRN Radio Network. Michael Miller is here with us, author extraordinaire. We're talking about cable services. We're still going to be talking about Bitcoin and Windows 9, lots of great topics. They're all coming up. Got a news tipple review from Marty Winston, and we'll be right back.
Hey everyone, have you heard about the No Hair Removal device that's sweeping the globe? If you want to go weeks without shaving and get smooth, professional quality results, here's our favorite host, Cheryl, for No Hair Removal.
Thanks. Hey gals, I love talking about my No. It's this cute little hair removal system that you can take with you and use almost anywhere at home or on the road. No more expensive in-office treatments, painful waxing, and no more wasting your valuable time. Got unwanted facial hair? No has patented Thermocon technology that works on all hair and skin colors, so it's perfect for using on all body parts. And now you can take advantage of this incredible risk-free trial. Get the No, the facial kit, a travel case, and a $100 discount shopping card, and you don't risk a penny to try it. Try the incredible No Hair completely risk-free. Call 1-800-953-5415. That's 800-953-5415. 800-953-5415.
Looking for a best friend? Brother Wolf Animal Rescue has your best friend waiting just for you. The mission is to protect and enhance the lives of companion animals and the people who love them. Their no-kill rescue shelter is open year-round, making it easy for people to adopt their will find homes for over 2,400 orphan dogs, puppies, cats, and kittens. All have ended up as a safe, nurturing environment where these special animals can heal emotionally and physically until they find a lifelong home. Their life-saving transport program brings dogs and puppies from overcrowded shelters in the south to rescues in the north where homes are easier to find. Brother Wolf Animal Rescue is a 501c3 organization. To learn more about their life-saving work and to make a donation, visit their website at www.bwar.org. That's www.bwar.org. Help to realize Brother Wolf's vision when no animal is euthanized for lack of a home.
Who's a good boy?
Do Svidanya, it's Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America, this time the UNU Ultra Pack Tour. Now, we're impressed with UNU Electronics and their understanding of the importance of adequate current levels to keep from time-starving users or power-starving gear. Their Ultra Pack Tour is one of the nicest high-capacity power pucks we've seen, and quite nice looking. It's a sleek, black, rectangular slab with a footprint just slightly larger than a 3x5-inch card and about 3/4 of an inch thick. Its guts boast a 10,000 milliamp hour lithium polymer battery, fed by a 12-volt, 2.5 amp wall wart using parallel charging to fill it faster than most such gear. An LED display shows a 5-segment status bar graph in a battery outline, plus a numerical percent of full readout, plus the time remaining to reach full charge. The business end offers both 1 amp and 2.1 amp charging ports. A little math tells us this can keep feeding one of those at full throttle for more than 3 hours. It also has a switch-controlled white LED convenience light. Bottom line, the UNU Ultra Pack Tour Power Puck has the power, the looks, and the smarts to merit top consideration among totable chargers. This is Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
Welcome back to the Computer America Show. It is 33 minutes past the hour. Marty Winston is News Tip Bulletin Review. We are here with Mike Miller, and you know, aside from getting sidetracked on HBO and all that kind of stuff, and the cable modem, if either of you wouldn't mind, you did submit some topics that we could talk about, and one of them I think is actually pretty interesting, is the Bitcoin price drop, because more and more we're hearing about Bitcoin, and not just what it is, and you know, and I think at this point, not everyone is asking the question, what is Bitcoin and why does it exist? But they're wondering, where can I use it and what is it used for? And I believe there was an Overstock.com, I believe, was the first like huge retailer to actually start accepting Bitcoin. So I mean, you know, it's obviously getting some traction, but even though it's getting traction, that doesn't mean that it is flawless now, just because it's starting to get some attention. And yeah, you actually mentioned that there was a price drop of sorts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just.
I've been writing.
Let me just.
Go ahead.
That Mike is coming out with a new book on Bitcoin, so he's certainly qualified to talk about the subject. Just wanted to mention that. Okay, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, well, I started writing this book, about 2-3 months ago. I've been doing it on and off, had some other projects going. And when I first started writing it, the Bitcoin exchange rate was about $500 or so, a little over 500, 520 or so to the dollar, or $520 per Bitcoin, that is. After I was about a month into the project, the price had gone up to about $620 for a Bitcoin. And I'm thinking, I should have bought some Bitcoin a month ago. I would have made some quick money, right? That's not a bad deal. Well, since then, the book got written, been through editing and stuff, so I'm now in author review, and I'm coming back to it. And honestly, I've not been following Bitcoin on a day-to-day basis. But the price today on Bitcoin was $402. Not 500, not 600, but $402. So it's dropped about $200. So it's lost it's about a third of its value in the past month or so. In fact, there was 1 week in there, well, it was the week before last, I think, where it dropped like 18% in 1 week. The value of it dropped, and everybody's trying to figure, well, what in the world is happening here? What's causing that? And everybody's got a lot of reasons why, but there are probably multiple factors. In terms of the overall price drop, it appeared, well, you look, the pricing on all this stuff, it's like stocks and bonds and other commodities, gold, it's all a matter of supply and demand. So if the price goes down, that means that the demand is lower than the supply, right? So what has happened to the supply or the demand to cause the price to go down? And one thing that people are speculating on, which I think is interesting, is actually these retailers getting into the accepting Bitcoin. As Ben said, Overstock accepts Bitcoin, Expedia does. You know, a lot of places are accepting Bitcoin now. But what they do is they don't keep the Bitcoin. I mean, they'll take the payment in Bitcoin, but they don't have a lot of Bitcoin sitting around in the vault somewhere. They immediately, either during the course of the day or at the end of the day, convert all the Bitcoin they've collected into dollars. So all of a sudden, you've got this influx of Bitcoin going back out into the system because of the retailers. I mean, every night they're selling their Bitcoin, and you just hope there's enough buyers out there for it. In addition, every transaction that gets made, Craig, we talked about this a month or so ago when we were first talking about Bitcoin. Mm-hmm. every transaction has to be verified. And it's verified by guys with huge, expensive mining rigs. It's called Bitcoin mining, and they do these mathematical calculations on it, on the transaction. And when they verify the transaction, they get paid for that, and they get paid for it in Bitcoin. That every successful transaction is verified, that miner gets 25 Bitcoins. Okay. Which sounds like a lot. I mean, even at $400 a Bitcoin, that's a lot of money. But it's because it takes a lot of computing power, a lot of electricity to do that. It's not necessarily, a get-rich-quick thing. But if there are more transactions going on, which there are, because there are more retailers out there accepting Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is becoming more popular, so we've got more transactions going on, that means there's more Bitcoin mining going on, which means there are more new Bitcoins being created, which increases the supply. Wow. So, there's all these factors which are increasing the supply of Bitcoin without the demand for Bitcoin necessarily increasing at the same time. I mean, the Bitcoin world is still a small world. I mean, here's the reality. If Ben here owned, got into Bitcoin early, and he's sitting around with 1,000 Bitcoin or so sitting on his computer, and he wants to get rid of it, that one transaction would be a big deal, and it would be enough to cause a little blip in the day's action. I mean, it's still a small enough market that even one player could have impacted. So if we've got all these new Bitcoin getting out there for one reason or another, without the demand for the Bitcoin going up at the same rate, well, the price is going to go down. So that's one thing, which certainly seems true, and the thing is with that sort of thing though, that's going to equalize over time. That should balance out. There was another thing though. Do you guys remember about a week or two ago, the big IPO news? The Chinese company called Alibaba.
Yes, we've reported on it.
Yeah, Alibaba, kind of, I don't know what they are, kind of the Google of China. I'm not sure what they are. But
they're a mix between eBay and Amazon, but they service all of China.
Right. Well, here's the deal in China. The Chinese government has cracked down pretty big on Bitcoin. They don't like it. The Chinese government is, they're kind of big into control, and Bitcoin is outside everybody's control. So they don't like Bitcoin, but still, the people in China who have money, which some people do, they like Bitcoin because now they can have their cash outside of the Chinese system, outside of the yuan. And so Bitcoin is a pretty big deal in China, not officially, but unofficially. Well, with this Alibaba IPO coming up, all the Chinese people with money, all the investors wanted to invest in it. I mean, it was a big IPO, as you know. So where do they get the money to invest in it? They sold their stocks of Bitcoin. Looking at the numbers from the largest Chinese Bitcoin exchange, and these are not going to be exact numbers, but they're going to just give you a flavor of it. On an average day, they were doing maybe 8,000 or 9,000 transactions. Right before the Alibaba IPO, the transaction rate went up to over 30,000 per day.
Wow.
So the Chinese owners of Bitcoin were dumping their Bitcoin so they could have cash to put into the Alibaba IPO. And it wasn't just in China. We actually looked at the Bitcoin exchanges across the world, and we saw a probably less extreme version of that same scenario, where right before the IPO there was a huge dump off of Bitcoin, that people were looking to sell their Bitcoin to get cash to invest in the IPO. So that week where we had an 18% drop in the Bitcoin price, you can almost purely lay that on the IPO of Alibaba, that situation. It's fascinating, really. But the end result is, if you bought Bitcoin 2 months ago at $600 and it's now worth $400, you have taken a very large bath, and you're going to hope that it comes back at some point soon.
Yeah.
One of the things that you mentioned earlier about Overstock and Bitcoin, I mean, these retailers, I know Tesla says that they'll accept Bitcoin and things like that. These retailers that are, that are publicly traded, they're in the public space, but they take Bitcoin. You're saying that they are like they buy or they accept Bitcoin, trade goods with Bitcoin, but then at the end of the day, they try to trade it off for cash, like immediately, like they're not sitting on a Bitcoin.
Well, no, because the Bitcoin market's too volatile. Bitcoin. My recommendation in the book is it's a great commodity for speculation right now, but it's a horrible excuse for a currency because it's too volatile. I mean, when your price one day is $450 and the next day is $400, I mean, my dollar is worth more or less a dollar, from day to day. But the Bitcoin, it isn't. So if you're a retailer or even an individual consumer, today I can buy a TV with my Bitcoin. Tomorrow, no, I can only buy a Big Mac. So, I want to, if I take in money for something, for some goods or services, at a given rate, somebody bought a TV paid with Bitcoin, fine. I want to get rid of that Bitcoin immediately because I know what the price is today.
Yeah.
I'm not going to gamble and think that the price is going to be more tomorrow or get burned because the price is less tomorrow. You want that exchange rate to be, within your control as much as possible, which means you get rid of it as soon as you get it.
What you're looking for is a less fluctuation. You want the currency to remain fairly constant, its value, and that's not what's happening with Bitcoin currently. Now, either one of the two things is going to happen. It's either going to stabilize, and it's going to be, you'll have a good feeling for what it's going to be, or it's not. And if it continues to fluctuate like that, then it will only attract speculators and not people who are looking for sound investments. And I think that's what's happening. Mike, there's a monitor behind you that's really flaring. Is there any way you can turn that off? Because I think, or with your head.
I can move my head over like that.
Yeah, yeah. All right, good.
I'll turn it off at the next break. So.
Okay. All right. So anyhow, I think that's what you're saying, is that it's just too much fluctuation now.
Yeah, I mean, for you or me who use our money to spend things on, I mean, you want to know what your money's worth in a given day. I mean, if you've got $400 in your wallet, you don't want it to be worth $300 tomorrow without you having spent any of it, right? I mean, you want your money to be worth what your money is. So yeah, the fluctuation in Bitcoin, that is what's keeping it, in my opinion, anyway, from being a viable currency. Now, retailers can still accept payment in Bitcoin. That's fine as long as they've got the means to dump it immediately, so they know what the value is. But then the question becomes, okay, is the Bitcoin pricing going to stabilize? It hasn't yet. Obviously, it has not yet. I mean, at one point in January of this year, it was over 1,000. But a year ago this time, it was down. It was below 200. I mean, so you're talking within a year period, going from for 200 to 1,000 and back and forth and back and forth. Is it going to stabilize? And if so, where and when? Is it going to stabilize at 400, or is it going to go back up to 1,000 and stabilize? Is it going to go up, as some people have prognosticated, up to the $15,000 range?
No way, really?
I don't. Well, I got to tell you, if you looked at the hockey stick that was Bitcoin pricing last year, going from below 200 to above 1,000, you'd keep going with the hockey stick and you get there, right? Well, the hockey stick, flipped over sideways and got diagonal on us and everything. So, I don't know. I mean, I am not Nostradamus. I cannot predict this Bitcoin thing from day to day, let alone, over the course of a year. But if it's going to become a viable currency, it has to stabilize. It has to quit being, like gold or whatever the current speculative commodity is. It has to stabilize. Until then, the average person isn't going to be using it. I mean, you don't want to use something that you don't know the value of from day to day.
Well, this is very true, and that's why it's really only, as far as I can see, it's attracting only people who like to speculate and they have disposable cash and that they can afford to speculate with, and it's a gamble. It really is. If you love gambling, well, Bitcoin might be your baby.
Oh yeah. Well, it's attracting more than just gamblers, though. I mean, it has a large group of followers in the libertarian political community because it is a currency outside the Fed, outside of regulated government currencies, which these guys want. And it's a non-inflationary currency. It's not one that the government can just make more of, one day for no reason whatsoever. There's a rhyme and a reason behind Bitcoin. So the libertarians like it. The privacy guys, the guys who are really hip on, nobody knows anything, and we got to have strict privacy controls. They like Bitcoin, again, because it's not regulated, it's not trackable. Criminals really love Bitcoin for the same reason. If you're going to, buy something that you shouldn't be buying, let's do it with it's totally untraceable. Well, Bitcoin's your currency right there, pal.
Now, are you? What level of criminals are we talking about? Gangbangers? Are we talking about the business? I mean,
where they say
probably not gangbangers.
I mean, what are we talking about?
There was the huge. I believe we went over it on the show, but there was that huge shakedown of a website called the Silk Road that pretty much drove Bitcoin like so handily.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but it was significant. It was. You knew it was there. Silk Road was a website where you could go and buy illegal drugs and other illegal stuff, but a lot of illegal drugs mainly. And how do you pay for your illegal drugs? Well, you pay for them with Bitcoin. So when you say, is it the low-level street gangbangers? In some cases, yes. They were buying, their drugs. I mean, college kids were buying their drugs off of Silk Road using Bitcoin. And as well as much more large-scale operations, Bitcoin has been used for money laundering over the years, also for the same, because it's not traceable. I mean, it's just ideal for that. And now, can I say it's? Now, I don't know whether it's been used because it's not traceable, but we know it's been used because of that. But how big of the Bitcoin population is criminal? It's small.
How do we know that? How do we know? I mean, we can't track it.
It appears to be anyway. I mean, let me put it this way. I think if you're a criminal, most criminals use Bitcoin, but most Bitcoin transactions are not done by criminals. I get if that makes sense to you. That is, if you're a criminal, you want to do criminal. It's like all spaghetti is pasta, but not all pasta is spaghetti. It's that sort of analogy there.
All right.
And in this analogy, Bitcoin is pasta, and criminals are spaghetti, or maybe linguine. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, but you're saying that it is it's the currency of choice for most criminals.
Yeah, as well as for a lot of libertarians, a lot of privacy advocates, a lot of emerging countries are using Bitcoin. Countries that don't have a viable currency in and of themselves because of political issues, political problems within the country, they're finding Bitcoin is a very viable alternative for those countries to use as a currency. So, I mean, there's a lot of appeal to Bitcoin from a lot of different ways. But to really hit the mainstream, to be a real viable currency for Joe and Jane American, Main Street, it's got to settle down. It's got to settle down. I mean, I could not recommend, my aunt or my sister or the neighbor next door investing in Bitcoin unless they just had a lot of money to spend and were willing to and able to lose it all if the price went down.
Okay. All right. So, anything else about Bitcoin that you wanted to ask, Ben, or did he answer all of your questions?
No, it's that's it.
All right. Did we get into the Chinese using it, or do they have anything to do with Bitcoin at all at this point?
Well, that was the whole bit with the Alibaba IPO. That a large number of Chinese investors there.
Yeah, that guy. The guy was really smiling. He had evidently made how many billions of dollars?
$22 billion.
$22 billion. But
He sold off a chunk of it. To get some spending cash, I guess. I think he cashed in about $800 million worth of his shares, but yeah, he still owns $22 billion worth of shares.
But it's all in Bitcoin.
Not quite.
Not if he's smart, it's not.
Oh man. Okay. Well, so when is your book coming out in Bitcoin, by the way? I know we talk about this every month.
That's a good question. Probably it's been edited. I wrote a little bit more material for it, covering the latest price changes. Hasn't gone to the printer yet, so we're probably about a month and a half away from it still, probably.
So you think it'll be out before the end of the year?
Probably sometime in November, I think. Yeah.
Okay. And when it comes out, will it already be obsolete?
It's obsolete now. I mean, I just wrote an appendix about these latest price changes, which contradicts some of the information in the main part of the book. I mean, the way the book processes it, at some point you freeze the book, you say the book's done, but if you want to add some stuff at the end, you can, So that's what we did. So the main part of the book has been frozen, but we've added some stuff at the end to kind of bring it up to date, even just a little bit from that.
And that's one of the hazards when you're writing a book about something that's so volatile, a subject that's so volatile.
Oh, well, and it could be anything. I mean, I've been writing about technology for over 25 years. And that's 25 years exactly. 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing. But back in the old days, it was the software programs that were updated, yearly. If you go back to the days of Borland and the early Microsoft Office and stuff, everything came out yearly. Well, that settled down, but then we started writing about the web, and the web changes hourly. You never know what. You want to make a change on a website, somebody makes it, and it could obsolete anything you've written about. So we know when we're writing about technology, we're kind of shooting at a moving target. But you got to do it, or you don't write any books and people don't get any help. So
you just it's a snapshot. You take the snapshot of that particular time, and this is how it is as of the printing of this book. Yeah, and that's it. And if any changes, well, although that's one of the nice things about an ebook, right? I mean, you can make changes on the fly.
Well, you could, but nobody does, because that would be a lot of work.
Oh, okay, all right.
I mean, authors get paid, and then it's like, well, now we want you to do this and update it daily. I go, well, really? Are you going to pay me to do that? Who's going to pay me to do that? And the publisher, who's going to do the work on that? I mean, we have other people set up to make books and ebooks, whatever. It doesn't matter, but they're done. They're working on something else. What do you mean you want us to go back and change this other thing? That's a fallacy that just because something's electronic, it gets updated. No. I mean, something new might get written, but I don't see people going back and revising their articles or their blog posts a year later. That doesn't happen.
See, and that, and yes, I'm going to work video games into this. That is exact what I said about the video game Destiny that came out. That's supposedly the new big MMO RPG, first-person shooter, what have you. This game, no expansions have been announced yet, and it's not on a subscription basis. Like, you buy the game once and you're done. And yet they said that they're hoping to become the next WoW. They're hoping for it to be available for years and years to come. But when you have a game that's available for years and years to come, but you're not working any kind of subscription into it, and there probably won't be that much DLC content into it, minor transactions while you're playing the game, Bungie and Activision Blizzard, they're going to be pumping money into this thing with no benefits. They're just going to be pleasing people that already paid their money. Just weird.
And at some point you say, no, I'm not that anymore.
Exactly.
Good enough. It's good enough for you guys. You don't need anything better. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it takes money to produce content, whether you're writing something or developing a video game or drawing cartoons or whatever. I mean, that's labor is involved in doing that, but whether it's a single person or a group of people or a whole company in the case of putting a book together, and yet everybody wants the content for free and they want it constantly updated. But that ain't going to happen. At some point, the people who are producing the music or the movies or writing the books would just say, I'm not going to give you any more unless you pay me a little bit to do this. I got a rent to pay. I got people to feed. I got cats that need kibbles and stuff. So it's a weird thing, this internet economy, that everything's going to be updated and constant and fresh and new, and it's all going to be free. It's like, well, how is that going to happen? How is that going to happen? We're going to get all our music for free, but who's going to pay the bass player over here? At some point, the bass player's got to eat. I know bass players; they eat a lot, so we got to feed the bass players.
Exactly. Well, listen, we're coming up to the top of the hour, and what we would like to do is the couple of topics that I want to touch on. Obviously, there was some big news with the Apple computer and their introduction of the iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6 Plus. And I know you have some specific opinions about that, and I'd like to touch on that as well. And also talk a little bit about Windows 9. I understand there's not really a lot of new news about it, but I know there's a big announcement event that's coming up on the 30th of this month, which is 4 days away.
Tuesday, is that? Yeah.
Yeah, Tuesday. So we'll be talking about that as well. And also, if we have time, we might want to talk about, I understand you just got a new car, an Accord EXL, or an Accord XL is how you pronounce it. And there are a lot of new tech things on this car that you'd like to talk about. Although I got to say, I've been seeing a lot of the commercials for the new BMW, the high-end one. That looks incredible for a car, but Well,
the thing that amazed me about the Accord, I mean, this is just a mid-level car. I mean, what's an Accord cost? Less than $30,000. whatever. I mean, it's not a high-end BMW. You expect that kind of tech on a BMW or an Audi or whatever. But, this is just the kind of car that your neighbors drive, and, they're adding some pretty cool tech in, right at the Main Street level, which is what kind of amazes me. It's the kind of tech you would have expected on a higher-end car that all of a sudden we're getting into midstream stuff, too.
Well, you see, it's a lot of it's filtering down. I think it's making it appear in these high-end cars, but it's becoming so affordable now that we're starting to see it in the mid to low-range vehicles. We kind of predicted this and we kind of said it, and this is not new. I mean, you've seen it before. I remember when Mercedes came out with the new in-dash, GPS navigation, video screens, and everything, and now, of course, you see it in most every car that's out there. But at first, it was in the high-end cars, and now here it is. Everybody has them. So I think that it's following true to the patterns that pattern. Heads-up displays, only in the high-end cars. Now we're seeing heads-up displays appearing in the mid to a low cost of vehicles. The technology starts where the money is, and then after that it makes its way down, because I think that's just the nature of the animal, the technology animal. All right, when we come back, we're gonna of course have our show reminder winner of the week. We're going to announce that as well. And for those of you just joining us, Mike Miller is here with us. We're talking about, we just finished talking about Bitcoin, and we're going to talk about Apple, and we were talking about Comcast. If you missed any portion of the show, you certainly can listen again. We archive all of our shows at ComputerAmerica.com. Just go to our homepage. Right there at the top of the screen, you'll see it says Archives. Click that, and you'll see you can watch. We have video archives. We have our own YouTube channel where you can actually watch all of our video archives. The audio archives are available at blogtalkradio.com. They're also available on Apple's iTunes. Okay, just search for Computer America, and you'll see all the Computer America archives there as well. We also have a RSS feed. It's all on our archives page. You can just go there and listen to the shows that you want. We're going to break, and then we'll continue on with Hour 2 of the Computer America Show. You're listening to us on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the Boost Radio Network, and the IRN Radio Network. Stay tuned for another hour of the Computer America Show. We will be right back. Stay with us.
Broadcasting live, it's the only national radio talk show on computers to air every weeknight. Computer America, hosted by national columnist Craig Crossman. The first hour's behind us, but there's still more of tech news, tech talk, and your phone calls. We're being beamed nationwide at ComputerAmerica.com. You got computer problems? Bring them on. You're listening to Computer America. Computers run the world, and we run computers. Call us or send us an email to live@ComputerAmerica.com.
Hello and welcome into Hour 2 of this birthday edition of the Computer America Show. And I'm your host, Craig Crossman.
And I'm your co-host, Ben.
And yes, we are in Hour 2, and I'm going to be 38 for another hour. And then, of course, another year.
And then, of course, he turns back into a 21-year-old. That's right. How birthdays work.
Exactly.
It's just that one dreadful day, and then you go back to being normal.
Then you go, exactly. But thanks to all of you who wrote and wished me a happy birthday. That was very nice of you. And I got all these coupons from all these different companies that somehow miraculously know it's my birthday, and they send me coupons. Hey, you got a free meal here, or you get a.
Did you get one from Pottery Barn?
No, I got one though from PetSmart. I don't know if they were calling me a dog, or I do get. Also, I get the for the birthday of our dogs. We get coupons too, so they keep track of the birthdays of the dogs. So that But I get them for Fridays, and Wendy's sent me and McDonald's sent me something, and
Oh wait, the fast food joints have you in their mailing list?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's scary. That's a scary place to be in.
Yeah, I got nothing to hide. What the heck, You
probably should hide the fact that you're on those mailing lists.
But we are continuing on with Michael Miller. He's the author of well over 150 books, and we're talking about all these different topics. Mike is with us here for the second hour as well. Again, if you have any comment or question, give us a call at 347-884-8881. I'll get you on and get you through. Email is live, Live, @ComputerAmerica.com. You can also join us in our live interactive IRC chat room from our homepage at computeramerica.com. Just put in, just click the live video / chat room button right there on our homepage, and you'll see it there on the left side of the screen. Put in a nickname, which is the name you'll be known by when you go in there. Click the, it'll ask you for the CAPTCHA just to verify that you're a live person. Click the connect button, and you're in. I don't take enough time to mention also that you can also download a myriad of IRC clients. There's a big button beneath it, and that appears on our free software page. We have Chatzilla, we have HexChat, we have MIRC. Depending upon what platform you're running on and what browser you're using, the chances are one of those three clients will work. And what they do is they just format the chat room so it's visually more appealing. It makes a separate window for you. It has different areas for the chat and for the people who are in it and where you type. It's just formatted very nicely, and so we recommend if you use the chat room a lot that you download one of those and apply it. And of course, also sharing that same page is the live Computer America video streaming page brought to you by Otherworld Computing. Quality products, excellent support since 1988. Again, anything you get from Otherworld Computing that's over $49, they give you free ground shipping, which means you're going to get what you ordered in 2 days. It's about 80% of the country. So we're going to continue on here, and again, you can follow along with us if you just go to our show notes page at computeramerica.com. We put all the topics up there that you can see what we're going to discuss. Mike, Windows 9, not a lot to talk about again. We've what we got from last month is that you're very happy about Windows 9 because they're going to bring back a lot of things that they gave up in Windows 7. They gave up from Windows 7 when they came out with the Windows 8, and primarily we're talking about the desktop again. It's interesting because we did a news story last night. It was last night, talking about how desktops are back on the rise again. That tablets are not necessarily. I mean, their sales are falling, and the desktops are becoming the new area where people are starting to purchase again. And obviously, if you're getting a copy of Windows, you're going to really want that desktop mode. And I understand that Windows 9 is going to be more like Windows 7 and using the desktop now as a default, or you can make it the default if you want to.
Well, actually, it looks like Windows 9 is going to sense what type of machine you're using it on, and if you're using it on a traditional desktop or a notebook, you're going to get essentially the old experience. Okay, it's going to boot to the desktop. You're never going to see the Metro stuff. You're going to have the start menu instead of the start screen. You're not going to have to deal with the charms bar. Everything. It's just going to be all desktop. Whereas if you get Windows 9 on a Surface tablet or another tablet, then you will see the Metro interface and whatnot, and you won't see the desktop. I mean, one of the big complaints about Windows 8 is that it isn't one or the other, it was both. No matter what type of device you were using, you had to use both the Metro environment and the desktop. I mean, if you ran a tablet, you still had to go back to the desktop for file management and stuff. So, I mean, it was just a horrible experience for anybody because you have to keep going back and forth between environments that did not mesh well. Well, in Windows 9, it's going to sense what kind of machine you have, and that's what you're going to see. Now, whether you'll have an option, let's say, on a notebook PC to use the Metro interface if you wanted to, for those 3 people out there who happen to like it, I don't know whether I do not know at this point whether there will even be that option. There may not be that option. There probably will be somewhere in the bowels of the operating system. But for most people, if you got it on a desktop, you got it on a notebook, you're going to see the Windows you know and love, enhanced, brand new 19 or 2015 version, But it's going to be, focus for 99% of us, the focus is going to be on the desktop. It's going to be a slightly better desktop than what we're used to. The start menu is going to be enhanced in that it will actually be, you can if you want to put live tiles on the start menu. So you could have a little weather tile or whatnot on the start menu. All the what few neat Metro apps, those big full screen apps for Windows 8 that were developed, will be able to run now on the desktop in a window. So that's going to be nice. But there won't be any of this, futzing around with charms and swipes and all that stuff. That's going to be gone in Windows 9 if you're using it on a traditional PC. So, it's kind of back to the future, but in a good way. I believe.
All right. Well, now you said that there is a big announcement event coming up on September 30th. Tell us what is that all about?
Yeah. They're going to be announcing this at their developers conference on Tuesday, and from all accounts, they will be releasing a public, what they're going to call a technical preview. We would call it a beta, back in the old days, but they're going to call it a technical preview that anybody will be able to download for free and use. I don't know whether that's going to be available immediately, on September 30th, or whether it'll be sometime in October. I was going to say October, but October, when that comes out. But sometime within the next 30 days or so, we'll be able to go to the Microsoft website, download the Windows 9 or whatever they end up calling it, technical preview, and the only thing is if you do download it, as with all beta things, it's not for the average Joe. There's going to be some bugs in it, so you got to be prepared for that, and you got to sign up to get regular updates downloaded to your system. Unlike past betas, you get one beta and the real thing comes out 3 or 4 months later or whatever. In this case, Microsoft's going to be pushing out update grades or fixes to the beta, probably on a monthly basis. I'm going to guess that every month you'll get a new version of the beta downloaded automatically. You've got to agree to that. If you don't agree to that, you can't do the technical preview. So they'll be able to make changes midstream, as it were, if they want to.
Well, that's kind of interesting, kind of cool. Speaking of updates, by the way, I digress here for a moment, but I had mentioned that I had
if you bring up Apple right now, I really do want to jump right into everything that's going wrong with Apple. So if you're going to bring up your iPhone update, bring it on.
Well, yeah, I just want to let you know that 8.0.2 was released yesterday, and because Apple had pulled 8.0.1. And they released...
because the fix to 8.0.0 wasn't any better than the thing that was broken originally. Apple, yeah, man, they're on it. Yeah.
So, iOS
they're becoming more and more like Microsoft every day.
Well, they released 8.0.2. I have to say this was the first release where I applied and it hung. It was the first time that it's ever happened. Because I've had the iPhone since day one. I mean, I've had the first iPhone. I've had most all the models. This particular update, I was really surprised, but it did hang. But fortunately, all I had to do was it was at the end of it. Evidently, when I picked it up off the dock, it released iTunes. I put it back, and it booted fine, and it all worked. To the last little tiny bit, evidently, it wouldn't go through. But it successfully installed 8.0.2. According to Apple, this release fixes an issue with 8.0.1 that impacted cellular network connectivity and Touch ID on the iPhone 6 and iPhone 6 Plus. It also fixes a bug so HealthKit apps can now be made available on the App Store. It addresses an issue where third-party keyboards could become deselected when a user enters their passcode. It fixed a number of issues. I'm just reading the major ones here. It fixes a bug that prevented uploading photos and videos from Safari. But I don't know if it fixed the problem that I had initially where it made my Apple iPhone dock inactive, when I had to reboot the phone. So it doesn't mention that here at all. So I'll have to stand by and see if it ever happens again. I do know that rebooting the phone does correct that problem. So for me, I mean, I think it's a worthwhile update. It seems to happen. It seems to work. We're only if you had an iPhone 6 or 6 Plus. If you have an iPhone 5S or earlier, none of these problems really were affected on your older iPhone, according to Apple. So at least for the parts that you talk about. So anyway, if you're asking me if I should update, I would say probably wait another day or two and see if any other problems surface. If not, then go ahead and update to 8.0. 2.2 from you if you have 8.0.
The next update will cause your iPhone to spontaneously combust, so watch out.
Well, I find it interesting that in the world of Apple, everybody, all the Apple heads out there, are just, they're just salivating over them. We got to upgrade immediately. Is it midnight yet? Is it 12:01? Can I do the upgrade yet? In the Microsoft world, they're 10 years after Windows XP, going, God, do we really have to update now? It's only been 10 years. And because on the Microsoft world, they learned long ago that Microsoft was not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now, they might have thought that back in the 90s, early 90s or so, but they learned that Microsoft is not perfect. Now, is it possible possible that the people who are such die-hard Apple fanatics are learning that Apple is not perfect? Or will they ever learn that? Or is, in fact, Apple really perfect and these little glitches are figments of our imagination?
Yeah, little gremlins in the machine. But one thing that I really want to get your take on is the whole bending issue. I don't know if you heard about this, Mike. About the whole bending.
That's a feature, isn't it? That you've got a flexible iPhone. I mean, weren't we waiting for that sort of thing for decades?
Flexible display.
Apple is the first company out there with a flexible phone. I mean, my God, why they should have played that up more at the launch.
Yes, let's do that. Well, no, what we're talking about is a condition, evidently. If you keep the iPhone in a pocket, just the pressure of the fabric of your against the phone, pressing its phone, is enough to actually cause it to bend. But it's not a temporary bend; it's a permanent bend. Evidently, you can literally take your iPhone now and put it face down on the table and watch it wobble. You can actually wobble it because of the curve that's now in the.
Well, so you have this is great. You have a custom produced, one-of-a-kind icon molded to fit your fanny. I mean, what other product do you have that is perfectly fits your butt like the new iPhones? I mean, again, I gotta see the commercial for this.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they can turn it into a feature. Ben,
your iPhone becomes just like your favorite sofa. It fits you like a glove.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it doesn't affect the operation of the phone. The phone actually continues to work, but it's bent.
I mean, just on general principle of durability and how durable you want your phone, when you can take your phone and literally, bend it with your hands, there's a. I don't want to say that there's a quality issue. It's just it's just people want thinner and thinner phones made of lighter and lighter material, and they want them bigger and bigger. And when you mix all those, eventually, and I think with the 6 Plus, you finally hit that magic threshold of where you get a sturdy phone, and you just turned it into a non-sturdy phone.
Well, as Ben said, the 6 and the 6 Plus are a lot thinner than the iPhone 5S. See, I have an iPhone 5S right here, and you can see, it doesn't.
And Craig, holding your phone, do you think you could probably bend that in half or bend it, so it?
No, no, I can't. It's very, very solid.
So I think it's just like just the almighty magical specs of Apple, who always make it thinner, thinner, lighter, and this time bigger. Just kind of all came into the perfect storm of, you can now bend this phone with your hands.
Well, I don't think Apple's made a comment about it yet. I've been checking. I don't think there's any official word.
Well, I mean, this affects every single iPhone 6 Plus, maybe even some 6s. So, I mean,
but wait, didn't Apple make a comment basically saying, "Oh, we've only had like 6 complaints about it so far. It can't be a big deal." Didn't I see that story out there?
I haven't seen that one. I'll look for it though.
Yeah, look. We'll go to Google. Ben will find it if it's out there.
All right.
So. Now you have an Android phone, correct, Mike?
I switched from an iPhone, and I'd had an iPhone for years. Switched a couple months ago to an Android phone. Now, still lots of Apple stuff in our household. My wife has an iPhone. My son-in-law has, well, he's got everything. He's got a Mac, an iPhone, an Apple TV. I have an iPad, an iPad Mini. So it's not like I don't have Apple stuff. But I did, for various reasons, I switched from an iPhone to an Android phone, and boy, I like it. One, I'm not beholden to Apple. I mean, I'm not an Apple fanboy, never have been. I don't think Steve Jobs walked on water. None of that stuff. I think he was human. I mean, he died. Okay. So far, he hasn't come back, so I guess that makes him human. And I think Apple makes mistakes. I don't drink the Kool-Aid, all right? So I could leave Apple, and that would be fine. I also didn't like being beholden to Apple. I mean, one of the things with the iPhone and the iPad and everything, you get into the Apple infrastructure and you're just there. I mean, they suck you in with iCloud and this and the photo stream and it's it's great. It all works. The nice thing about it is it all works. You don't have to do anything special. You just turn it on and it all works together, and that's wonderful. But you got to use it. I mean, you don't have any choices. Moving over into the Android world, it's like being back in the personal computer world where you can swap out boards and change keyboards, and if I want to add a different monitor, I can. That's the way the Android phone I mean, I'm not locked into an infrastructure. It's an open infrastructure. I can use this music player here and this keyboard there, and it's great. The other thing I found is that the Android phone manufacturers, I happen to have a Samsung Galaxy S5, were at least a year ahead of Apple on the hardware front. So when I look at all things that Apple was talking about with the release of the iPhone 6, I say my Samsung had that already, and had it a year ago. In fact, it even has more than yours has, because I can, put in an SD card, and I can do this, and my camera's better than your camera. But at least you're catching up. Mm-hmm. A year or two after the other manufacturers went to large phones, Apple finally went to a large phone. They said they'd never do it. They finally did it, but they're behind. They did this, they did that. They're behind the curve. Apple is not leading in this technology market anymore. I mean, they did. I mean, they were the ones who pretty much made smartphone a viable product, but they're not leading anymore. They're playing catch-up technology-wise, and I don't know how any of the Apple fanboys can pretend otherwise.
Well, what about things like Apple Pay? They're trying to be the leader in that, and no one else seems to be coming up with a solution like that.
Let's just ignore Google Pay or Google Wallet for a second.
Apple Pay, yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Apple, it remains to be seen whether Apple Pay will be successful. It is nothing different than some of the other payment systems out there have offered, okay? Other than it's got Apple behind it. And because Apple's behind it, they have, Visa and MasterCard and American Express and First Data and all these big guys behind it. They will get more retailers on board with it right away than Google and some of the others were able to get. So maybe just the sheer weight of Apple will push it into the mainstream. But what they're doing, other than the sheer weight of Apple, there's really nothing they're doing that everybody else hasn't. So why should Apple be successful when these other companies weren't? Now, maybe they will be, because they do have some brute force going behind it. But in terms of technology, in terms of features and that sort of thing, it's like, nah, it's kind of been done before, and these other guys, it didn't catch on that much. So will it be any different with Apple?
Okay, so you're saying there's no innovation at Apple anymore?
I think they're playing catch-up at this point in time. I mean, I think they're still good at marketing. They put on great presentations, they're mesmerizing. But in terms of what they're doing, they're playing catch-up. Now, it's good that they're playing catch-up. Obviously, the public wanted a larger phone. I mean, we saw it with the pent-up demand and the huge orders initially that there were Apple people who were just waiting some more for Apple to come out with a 5-inch phone, 4.7 inches in the case of the iPhone 6, but did they do anything that the other companies haven't already done? In fact, you look at the form factor of the iPhone 6, it looks like a Galaxy S5. Maybe a little classier, because Apple does things a little classier than Samsung does, but really, what is new and improved in there? It's new and improved compared to the old iPhone, but compared to the other competition on the market, they're just playing catch-up.
Talk to me a little bit about the Apple Watch. What are your feelings about that? Are they playing catch-up with that?
Well, I mean, they're moving into a market which is practically non-existent, with a product that's way higher priced than any of the existing competition, that really doesn't do anything different from anybody else, and they think they're at some. I mean, even if they captured 100% of the market, it's going to be a failure. I mean, I cannot see this thing. There's no market. There's just no market. I don't understand why Apple's even bothering with it. I mean, they'll make a nice little watch, but it's going to be overpriced and not do much, and nobody's going to want it anyway, because it's such a tiny little market for it out there. I mean, depending on how they market. I mean, so maybe they market it as a sports watch. I mean, that didn't seem to be the case during the launch, but I suppose they could. Well, that's a teeny tiny little market too. Is it a regular watch? Well, I got to tell you, people buying the expensive Bulivas and whatnot, they're not going to buy that cheesy looking, looks like an old Casio, calculator watch from 20 years ago. Look, even if they do it well, which Apple will, because they do it well, there's no market for it, and they're overpriced. So yeah, I don't understand it. Nothing about that adds up in my book.
I think they're hoping to do just like they did with the smartphones, that they're going to create the market.
Yeah, right. For years, they've weaned us away from our watches. They said, you don't need a watch anymore. You got a phone. You got everything on your phone. It tells time. What do you need? And everybody throws their watches away. There's landfills just overflowing with old, $30 watches out there. And now they want us to wear watches again. Well, we're past that. We don't wear watches anymore. Who wears a watch? Other than Craig, who wears a watch these days?
I wear a watch. Yes, exactly.
I was about to say, Craig is one of those small minorities that you're talking about.
And that's right. There is a small minority, and there is a market out there. They're going to sell some, but that market is very small. And I don't see anything that they're offering that would make it the other way. Otherwise, I mean, for somebody who does not have a watch, all right, doesn't want a watch. I got a smartphone. Now you want me to buy a $300 watch? Well, that's the low-end one. Probably a $500 watch. Oh, maybe the $600 model. No, wait, I think it's a $700 model on the higher end. Okay, whatever. You really people are going to do that? For what? What is this damn thing going to do that my phone doesn't do already?
Okay. Well, there you go. Okay.
And by the way, it's not that people want something smaller. People are not saying my phone is too big. I want a watch. People are saying I want a bigger phone. I want a phone so big that I can set on it and form fit it to my butt cheeks. That's how big I want my phone to be. So it's not like they want a smaller phone. No, they want bigger phones. So why do they want a watch?
Did you used to wear a watch, Mike, or you don't wear a watch?
When I was in the corporate world back, before we had technology, when dinosaurs roamed the earth, I did wear a watch because I had to get to meetings on time. Today, if I were in the corporate world, I'm not sure why I would need to do that because I have phones that I can set alarms on and stuff. But yeah, I needed time telling back then, and a watch was the only technology we had to do it.
Okay. All right. Well.
But as soon as I left the corporate world, the watch went in my drawer, and where it sits to this day, presumably not ticking anymore because that's been over 15 years ago, and I don't think batteries last that long.
Now, of course, with the iWatch, you take it off at night, obviously, and clip it to the charger. So
well, you have to take it off around noon or maybe 1 in the afternoon because the battery isn't that strong on it. Everybody's going to be recharging their watches in the middle of the day, because if they actually use them, that is. And Apple has said that. Apple has said it doesn't even have a 24-hour charge on it. It's only got what were the specs? 18 hours on the charge or whatnot. So it's going to be about half of that. Everybody's going to be sitting around, with their arms up against the wall, recharging their watches during their lunch break.
I've seen the commercials, and I've seen all the people joking about looking for a plug, looking for a charging port, doing that kind of thing, but not since I've been at school, sitting in the library and looking around. The outlets are high commodity. You could just see people kind of muscling each other out. There are football players just shouldering the nerds trying to get to the outlet to charge their phones. It is a serious problem.
Yeah. Go to an airport. Go to any airport. The business travelers. I mean, you'll have one guy monopolizing it. He'll bring his own power strip with him because he's got to plug in his laptop and his tablet and his phone, and now he'll have to plug in his watch also. So, yeah, it's even worse in airports than it is in schools, and it's bad in schools.
Okay, well, so I think there we go. Mike's opinion.
I still say we had the discussion several months ago. I still say that if somebody is brilliant enough to come up with a better battery technology, that's where the next millions are going to be made. Because, I mean, we all live off of batteries. All of our devices need these batteries, and the batteries are not strong enough. I mean, nothing lasts 24 hours, that, somebody can come up with a battery that really, really works. They could make a bundle right now. That's the technology.
That's always been my contention. I said that we have the technology, we have the capability to do some amazing things in very small devices. The problem is we don't have the batteries to support them. We're still using battery technology in many ways from the 1800s. I mean, now the most modern battery is the lithium-ion battery, and I don't see anything on the horizon. You hear something, someone's come up with a new battery, the new technology is going to be a breakthrough, and then you never hear from them again. It's just that it goes away for some reason. I remember a couple of years ago, NEC was saying, "Oh, we got some great battery technology. It's going to blow everything out of the water." Never heard from them again. It went silent or something. So until somebody figures out how to do it, and it's going to have to be some sort of quantum leap, I think, in order to do that, because using traditional chemistry, there's just so much energy you can put into from a chemical reaction. You can only get so much power out of it, and you can only make things so power efficient before you run out. So they got to come up with something else, and I don't know if there's anything else on the horizon at this point that's going to. I know they were talking about solar charging, and you have to hold your hand, in the light, So, but
although in their defense, I think most adults nowadays probably don't get their own solar charging done. They don't see enough sunlight, so maybe that part of the watch is a good thing.
Yeah, instead of everybody huddling around the power outlet in the corner, everybody be over by the windows, right? Yeah.
Let's get a little tan or something, And the reason you have to get the fresh air is because you have to keep your equipment charged, So.
Of course, then you get the risk of everyone looking like turkeys in a rainstorm, just kind of all standing around in little clusters.
We keep hearing improvements in solar charging technology, that as well, but I think we're still up against some physical limitations, and I have not heard of anything on the a nuclear battery, and nothing. There's just
I think the Ghostbusters had one, but they used it for a different purpose. So
how about wind power? Can we have little wind turbines on our wrists or on our heads, like little beans? Yeah.
That'd be awesome. And by the way, I looked it up. I completely forgot, and I'm going through my tabs right now. iPhone. Apparently, they're calling it Bendgate. Not Bengay, but Bendgate, which is iPhones being bent. And Apple says that since they started selling, they've only gotten 9 complaints.
Mm.
And of course, the article goes on to say that it doesn't include people who go to the individual stores or the people that call up different manufacturers and not Apple or any kind of insurance policy. It's just Apple themselves have only received 9 complaints.
Out of how many hundreds of thousands of phones that they've sold?
Admittedly, it could be more. People just aren't bending them and they haven't noticed, because the bend is kind of minor if you don't notice it. But Apple's only gotten 9 out of a couple 100,000.
Of those 9, have they replaced them?
They said that they are going to go on a case-by-case basis, and you're going to have to go to your Apple store.
Okay. All right, you listen to Computer America on the Blog Talk Radio Network, on the Boost Radio Network, and the IRN Radio Network. We're going to have our show reminder winner of the week coming up next. Mike Miller continues on with us. Stay with us.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 120,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy and major car companies filing for bankruptcy, Cover America Auto Care has announced revolutionary, inexpensive mechanical breakdown coverage that is now available to the general public to save consumers thousands on auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for drivers to call who own a vehicle that is less than 10 years old for a free 5-minute quote and to see if you qualify. The number is 800-483-2514. Drivers who are covered with this auto protection will not have to pay for a covered repair again. This is the auto coverage now sweeping across America at a fraction of what dealerships charge and is now available to the public by calling today. The number to call is 800-483-2514. 800-483-2514. That's 800-483-2514.
Don't complain about your cable bill going up and up and up. Do something about it. Grab a pencil and jot down this special number, 1-866-663-MyTV. The more cable TV rates go up, the better digital satellite TV looks. So, disable the cable and get more of your favorite channels in 100% digital quality for less money. Call 1-866-663-MyTV right now to sign up for packages starting as low as $19.99 and up to 4 rooms. And there's no equipment to buy. That includes your free HD TV upgrade, your free DVR upgrade, and your free professional installation. And the best part, the pristine digital picture and sound. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. So, what are you waiting for? Pull out your major credit or debit card. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. 1-866-663-MyTV. Disable the cable, cut costs, and get more. Call 1-866-663-MyTV. 1-866-663-MyTV.
Salutations, it's Marty Winston with a News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America. This time, the iRobot Luge. They spell it L-O-O-J. It's not an Olympic event. We didn't want all of our robot reviewables to be underfoot, so we asked iRobot to send Luge their gutter cleaning robot. It has a long, thin, fairly rectangular body with rubber tracks on both sides, so it rides in a gutter like a skinny tank in a trench. The front end has the muck attack parts, brushes, rubber paddles, and a scraper plow. You use its removable handles built-in remote control to send the gutter gunk left or right, up the roof or out away from the house. Auto mode takes it forward, backs it up a bit, then forward again, or you and the remote can send it fore or aft and stop the auger or spin it left and right. Our hodgepodge house has many short gutter runs, many higher than our old ladder can reach, so no new ladder or hire somebody, you've got those choices. Luge effectively extended our reach the length of the sections of gutters we could reach, meaning far fewer ladder moves. It got stuck twice. Once because of debris, we used a broom to drag it back and clear the fault condition, and once on a return because we weren't spinning the auger. User error, quickly corrected. Bottom line, when it comes to the gutter, the iRobot Luge is an utter pleasure to use. This is Marty Winston with the News Tips Bulletin Review for Computer America.
33 minutes past the hour. Welcome back to the Computer America Show. Before we get back to Michael Miller, and hopefully we're going to get a chance to talk about his new car and all the nice little tech goodies that are inside that. Since it is Friday in the last hour, and not just because it is Craig's birthday, it is time for a show reminder winner of the week.
Oh, yes, it is. And we fortunately have Mike here to play the digital drums, since he is he's written many books on instruments. So, Mike, I guess we'll just have you hit it. All right. Okay. And this week's show reminder winner is Kevin Kidder. Kevin Kidder, congratulations. You're our Logitech winner of the week. Our show reminder winner of the week, you win the Logitech rechargeable wireless touchpad T650, valued at $80. Congratulations. It's got a large, smooth glass surface that your fingers can perform up to 13 unique gestures. It's just an amazing touchpad. You can see it at our contest page at computeramerica.com. So congratulations, Kevin. And speaking of our contests, all of our contests are up and running. Just go to our Interact pull-down menu, and you'll see the second choice is Enter Contest. It'll take you to our contest page. There's our show reminder winner, where you can subscribe to our weekly email newsletter. The show reminder, the only publication in the universe that carries who's going to be on the show for the entire week. It's all free. And also our Logitech contest. It's a 6-week contest that's all up and running now. We would have 3 great prizes. A brand new grand prize, which is the Logitech X300 mobile wireless stereo speaker, and you as the winner can pick any one of the 4 colors. So it's valued at $70. So check out all of our contests at computeramerica.com. Enter in all of them. You'll have a lot of fun. They're all completely private. We give your information out to no one except to Logitech if you're the winner, so they can mail you your prize. That's pretty much it. So enter all of them, as I said, and who knows, you might win something really, really nice. Check out our contest page at computeramerica.com. So, Mike, we were talking about it sounds like we're bashing Apple, but
No, I'm not bashing Apple so much as bashing the Apple fanboys. I think the people who think that Apple walks on water and they're first and they're best, and it's like, no, they're not. They're playing catch up now when they make mistakes, a la 8.0 point whatever. And Apple's just a company like any other company. I mean, quit treating them like they walk on water. They don't. And let them compete the way everybody else competes. I mean, they just seem to be able to do less and charge more for it than any other company out there, and that's not fair.
Well, okay. The other thing is that they're trying to make the Apple Watch look like a piece of jewelry, you know, with all the different watches, the bands, and the mesh, and a lot of people find that appealing. But we'll just have to wait. You know, we'll have to wait and see how well the sales go. And I did like the idea of the digital crown, you know. So you basically, your fingers don't cover the screen, and it's voice detect, you know, and works with Siri. I'm contemplating on picking up an Apple Watch, but we'll have to see. Yeah, because I come from
gold one.
I probably the gold one. Yeah, it'll match the gold iPhone. Exactly. Yeah, a little touch of luxury, you know, a little expenditure. You know, I'm not driving a BMW, so you know, maybe I want a little extra, you know, on the watch.
I have a question.
Yes. For whom?
Anyone. We know that Apple's iPhone naming scheme is usually the number, and then 6 months, a year later, they come out with a number and then something else. You know, so it could be like the 5 and then the 5S or the 5C, the 4 and then the 4 GS or whatever it was. Since they're releasing the 6 and the 6 Plus, are they going to jump right to 7 next time, or are they going to have something else, like a 6G Plus or something?
Well, they might have if they have an interim update, you know, it might be, and it doesn't rank a full number. It might be the 6S, you know, or the 6C.
So it'd be like the 6S. So it'd be the 6 Plus, and then the 6S Plus, and the
something like
6S.
That. Yeah,
6 plus 5 equals 11. I mean, what?
Yeah, exactly.
But they might. Well, the 6S. You know, that's a play on the word success, you know, or if they didn't want 6C, you know, that sounds like sexy. So they might not use those.
Are they going to keep the smaller iPhone and call it the Mini?
No, the 5S is they're keeping that, you know, just because it's the pre-version rather than coming with it.
Not until the market shifts where people want smaller phones, and then Apple will bring it back out.
Mm-hmm. Well. You think the people are going to want smaller phones?
I think some people who actually use phones as phones and have regular-sized pockets do. The market is bifurcated or trifurcated. I mean, obviously, a lot of people use their phones for internet stuff, so you want your screen because of that. But also, obviously, you can get too big for a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people do look at the 6 Plus and say that's more like a tablet than it is a phone. And we're going to stick with the 6. I mean, Apple obviously knew that, or they wouldn't have released both. So I mean, it's a maturing market. So what you see in a maturing market is a lot more options like that. Oh, some people like the small one, the big one, the gold one, the green one, whatever, and you have more options.
Well, you know, I have to say, when our neighbor got an iPhone 6, before I went to the store to see it. And he pulled it out, and I thought, when he showed it to me, I thought he'd gotten a 6 Plus, because to me, it seemed really big compared to my 5S that I was used to. But it was the 6, so knowing how much bigger the 6 is now, I guess the 6 Plus really is going to feel like a tablet.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I mean, the 6. I mean, it's a huge jump up. If you've been in the Apple universe, or even if you're a generation or two behind. You know, if you've got an iPhone 4 for what was the last jump in screen size? Was it for
the 4S, and 5, which was the next jump? Yeah.
Yeah. So if you've got an older iPhone, I mean, even if it's a 5, this new phone looks huge to you. I mean, it's a big jump in real estate. However, if you're going from the Android world, I've got a Samsung S5. It's bigger, a little bit bigger than the iPhone 6. So I mean, you look at the iPhone 6, you say, big deal. That doesn't look that much bigger. But when I jumped from the iPhone world over to the Samsung S4 or S5, it's like, oh yeah, geez, this thing, will it fit in my pocket? I mean, you got to get used to large screen size. But I did very, very quickly. I mean, because I don't use my phone to talk on much. I use it to browse the internet and do Facebook and whatnot. And the larger screen size is a real help for that.
See, and I use my phone mostly as a phone. I for the most part. I mean, I use.
But even then, I think people who have larger phones, they aren't complaining. They aren't throwing out their shoulder by trying to lift this phone up to their ear, and talking on it isn't that much of a cumbersome event. These larger phones, yeah, sure, they're bigger, but that doesn't mean that they're unwieldy. I mean, they're just phones.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well,
but at some point you do get too big.
Yeah, like does no one remember the giant, with the ringer and the slam it down and the big thing? I even forget what it's called. The old big phones, the big banana phones.
The brick,
Yes.
the brick.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no one remembers those. Like those things were bigger than these phones.
Yeah. But at some point, too big, you're going to get too big. I mean, take an iPad Mini, and if you put a phone inside an iPad Mini, wouldn't that be a little bit too big for a phone?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Okay, so somewhere in between, the 6 and the Mini is too big. That's probably the line is in there someplace.
Okay.
Well, I think the technology that's been labeled a phone so far has not crossed that line.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Well, listen, we wanted to talk a little bit about this this car, and some of the. I know Ben wanted to talk a little bit. We have about 15, 17 minutes less. Let's talk about that and the technology we're going to find in the car.
Yeah, I mean, this ain't a big deal. I mean, we had the lease was up on the old Accord, so we got a new Accord. That's kind of how it works. I mean, we didn't even give it a test drive. I just called up the guy and said, "Yeah, turn in the old one, give me a new one. Whatever you got these days." I mean, this is our third Honda Accord. It's, I used when I was single. I used and had money. I used to drive sports cars and convertibles and stuff, and now I drive Hondas, and that makes me sad in a little way. But here's the thing with Hondas, and you can say the same thing about Toyotas or Nissans. They just work. I mean, they're good, solid, dependable. There's nothing wrong with them. They are, nondescript. You can't tell one from the other. They're kind of boring when you look at them, but they do the job and they don't break down. And ultimately, that's what you want in a car. So we've been doing Honda Accords for the wife, and I have a Honda CR-V SUV for me. So it was time to get the new Honda. Fine. So we got the new Honda, and I didn't care. It actually cost a little less than the old Honda. I'm happy with that. Mm-hmm. But the thing, and I knew this when I got my CR-V last year, that we're starting to get some pretty advanced technology in these things. So for my CR-V had the rear camera, the backup camera.
Oh, yeah.
Which is very, very cool. Yeah. Well, the new Accord has a backup camera. Matter of fact, it's got a larger screen in it than my CR-V.
But is it enough to fit in your pocket?
I know I cannot fit my car in my pocket. I don't have a Mini Cooper, so we can't do that. But anyway, the Accord actually has two displays on it. It's got a fairly big display for your main functions, and it's got a smaller display set lower in the dash, which is a touch screen. So you use that for most of your operations. You hit the touch screen and you see what's happening up on the big display. So you've got the backup camera, which is cool. It also has, what do they call it? It's a side view camera. They call it lane watch, I believe. They basically put a camera in the passenger side mirror that covers the blind spot of the car.
Oh, yes.
So that whenever you turn on your right-hand turn signal, you see your blind spot, the right side of the car, up on the dashboard. And that's pretty cool. And I'm thinking, boy, this is pretty high-tech technology. And then I started thinking about going, wait a minute, how much can these little cameras cost them? This is just a case of where mass production has come down, where little bitty pin cameras like that cost next to nothing these days, and they can afford to put it in a car that retails for less than $30,000. In fact, I'm like, why didn't they put more of them in? Why didn't they have one aiming at the rear seat so I can watch the grandkids, or one over here so my wife can put on her makeup, or whatever. We're gonna have a lot of cameras in cars because they're cheap. They're relatively simple to do. They all feed into one central display, and by the way, displays are dirt cheap now, right? It's just an LCD display up there. Mm-hmm. So so in a lot of cases, we're getting this so-called advanced technology just because it's just dirt cheap these days. I mean, you're right. I mean, it used to be you could only afford to put it on a Mercedes or a BMW, but now you can put it in anything because it doesn't cost that much to put it in the car. And it's neat and it's cool and all that, but it's also, I mean, they're good safety features. I mean, I've seen the stats. I can't remember them on just how many deaths and accidents can be prevented from having the rear, the backup cameras. So, it's good stuff, and it doesn't cost that much to put them on the car.
Well, was it optional equipment or was it standard equipment?
On the Honda, it depends on what level you get. If you get the base level, whatever they call it, the base level, it doesn't have all this stuff on it. But when you get up to the mid-level, the EX model, then it has all this stuff on it. None of it's optional. It's just there.
Wow. Okay. So you like the experience? I mean,
yeah, the technology. The cameras really add a lot. to the safety feature. I mean, when I'm backing up now, I don't have to move my head anymore. I can be a total lazy slug. I just look at the backup camera on the dashboard, and you don't have to turn around and wrench your back out, and like you see in old movies, people driving with their one hand and they've got their arm on the back of the seat. You just kind of look over there, and there's nobody behind you. You go ahead and back up. The lane changing thing is actually pretty cool. They also have a collision avoidance system on it. Lane departure warning is what they call it. Where and I'm not quite sure how it works. I don't know what technology they're using, but if you veer over into the other lane, like if you fall asleep or something, it beeps at you.
It beeps at you. Okay.
Yeah, I mean it knows when you're doing it intentionally. Mm-hmm. But if you're doing it unintentionally, it beeps at you unless you're veering over to the other lane. Good safety features and good use of technology, I think.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we actually talked about something like this last night or something, Ben, about.
We talked about a story last night about how cars nowadays they're getting more and more automated, and one thing that they're doing, and they said they're aiming it towards higher risk loans and things like that, but apparently cars are car companies, or at least the people loaning the cars, are getting the option to put in a device that if you ever get behind on your payments or you fail to pay your car loan payments, they can shut off your car. Like they can have like a kill switch and turn it off.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not questioning the technology. I'm questioning whether anybody would actually do that or not.
They have that. We have a story here, and it's from Popular Science. But the New York Times had a whole report on it, and these cars are installed with GPS and with kill switches, so that in case anyone tries to take their car and run away with it, they can always shut them down, turn on the GPS device, and find their car in case they ever try to hide it or something.
Isn't that a privacy issue? Wouldn't you have to sign some fine print on a 5-page privacy terms thing to make that happen?
What they're thinking is that it's buried somewhere in the end user license agreement, which is obviously the loan paperwork. It'd be buried somewhere in there.
That's kind of spooky, and I mean, so if you don't pay your monthly car loan, they can turn your car off.
Well, even spookier than that is the next step. Who else can turn off your car?
Yeah. Well,
can the police turn off your car if they think that you were involved in a bank robbery? Can the FBI or the CIA turn off your car because they're dicks up there, basically? I mean, who can do this? Can somebody hack into your car and turn it off, or drive it across town to a chop shop or something?
Well, OnStar already has that feature. I mean, if they steal a car, we've seen the commercials, and the police they identify it, and then they flash the lights, and that's the car, and they can literally turn the engine off, and the guy has to coast to a stop, and the police are right behind him. We've seen camera footage of that, so they do that already with OnStar.
Well, and that's wonderful when used against the bad guys, but what is to keep people from using that technology against the good guys?
Yeah, that was the point of the story here. Is that. I synonymized it with debtor's prison. In Old England, when you owed money, they would put you in jail. Well, how are you going to pay the debt if you're in jail? I mean, it's the same.
Greg, you're dating yourself.
But the point is, you didn't pay your car, and now they're turning your car off. I mean, it's like you didn't pay your electrical bill. Well, they turn the electricity off, or they turn the water off. Now they can turn your car off.
Well, before they could repossess your car, they just pull up with a van in the middle of the night and haul it away.
Right.
This is the high-tech version of that, I suppose.
Yeah, this is the daylight version of that. Exactly. But that's only in cars where that's something that they're going to add on. That's not a factory edition, is it?
That's not a factory installed item, is what you're saying? That's an aftermarket item?
Yeah, it sounds like, and not only that, they've gotten clever because there are numerous YouTube videos that show you how to actually disconnect it and things like that. But it seems like that they can not only install that, but they also install decoys for people who want to, kind of turn it off by themselves. They think they deactivate it, but really they just deactivate a decoy, and the original GPS and kill switch are still active and on.
No, it's getting to that point now where it's like the shell game. How many are you going to put in there, and which is the real one? It just gets.
So everybody's got this technology out for you. How do you avoid it? How do you keep really secure? Not only now do you have to disconnect from the internet, you apparently have to go to full-fledged Amish. You have to get rid of the car, go with the horse and buggy, and obviously you don't have an internet connection then either. That's the only way to ensure total privacy now is to dump the car and go with the horse and buggy.
Now I heard that they have a thing affixed to the horse, his collar, and they can shock him.
The most unfortunate kill switch there is.
Yeah. What's wrong with my horse? I fed him and everything, and now he's lying here on the side.
And Mr. Ed's up there going.
Exactly. So I don't.
Get the SPCA involved in this, I suppose.
Yeah, get the SPCA involved. Really, it's just you can carry it to the nth extreme, I guess. But well, I'll tell you. I mean, I don't know where else to go with that. You're happy
as technology becomes more prolific, it's going to start leaking into places where people may find it creepy. People are going to find it strange. People are going to find it invasive. But until laws are on the books, or people make enough hubbub about it, and people are going to test their boundaries. They're going to see where can we put this technology? Can we put a GPS device inside a baby carriage? Just in case someone steals your baby carriage. Where is the line? And they're going to test it.
Well, this actually bridges something that I'm going to start writing about next week in a new book I'm writing about the Internet of Things, where anything theoretically that's big enough, and doesn't have to be too big, can have its own or Wi-Fi transmitter and have its own IP address, and anything can connect to the internet and talk to other things on the internet. Whether that's a baby carriage or diapers. There are so-called smart diapers out there that that will analyze the stuff that gets left in a diaper and tell you whether your kid has this or that or some other thing. Anything theoretically. Even a paper clip could have a Wi-Fi transmitter in it, have its own IP address, and be able to talk to any other thing, which also means it could also be tracked by any other thing.
Who goes up to their baby and says, "My baby's leaking, what's wrong with it?" Weird.
My baby's leaking. Yeah, exactly.
But we've had Intel on talk about the Internet of Things, and that seems to be, the next big the next big revolution is the Internet of Things. So good to hear that you're going to start writing about
I
it.
certainly hope so. I'd like to sell a bunch of books about it. So the books themselves will not be smart books. They will not have any Wi-Fi transmitters or IP addresses in the books themselves.
But we're going to have smart cities, and that's going to analyze water flow in a building. Yep. We've had Intel talking about it quite seriously, and really, supposedly all for the betterment of the human condition, to make things easier for us. Our refrigerators will know when we're running low on milk, and will let you know about it, or send an order to the local grocery store, so then they'll deliver milk when you're running low, save you a trip.
I guess you can be concerned with big data, but I guess in a couple years there's going to be massive data. Like there's going to be data coming from every source, from everywhere. Just kind of all compiled, and you can see, traffic patterns, you can see consumption rates, you can see, just things that you didn't even imagine before.
It could be. Exactly.
Again, with the only downside of that is anything that you can transmit out for the good of all concerned can be transmitted back in also. Could somebody hack into your refrigerator? I don't know what they do with it, to make everything cold, or melt your cheese. I don't know what they do, or Or hack into your baby's diaper. I mean, who knows? But you think about anything could be hacked, and then what? You know, what would your smart paperclip do? Would they get together in a chain and walk across your desk? I don't know.
Smart paperclips, they're going to turn all into Clippy, and then they're all going to be marching around your desk. I see you're writing a business proposal. Would you like help with that?
Hey, guys, we're almost pretty much out of time here. Mike, I want to thank you for being with us here on tonight's show. It's always a pleasure having you here, and I guess we'll see you, of course, the next month. And again, you can see all of Mike's books. You can go to his website. It's molehillgroup.com, and you can see all the different books that Mike has and where you can order them. And they're all.
Latest book on stores right now, Idiot's Guide to Singing, which has nothing at all to do with anything we've talked about. But it's a good book.
It is a good book. All right, good. Now, coming up on Monday, Ben, you're going to get the day off, I think, because Charles Tendell wants to be on the show.
Yeah, it's going to be a weird one. I'm getting the day off, but Charles Tendell is coming back for a guest appearance, and potentially my brother Aaron will also be joining you. So
yes,
I guess having 5 people on one radio show is can get crowded.
It's going to be interesting. Aaron wants to be on because the first guest is going to be Big Data. And actually, Big Data is the name of a musical group. Alan Wilkes is the lead singer on this group. And he's going to talk about the band is all about, I guess, human relationships, social networking. They've got a big hit out. Big Data is one of their songs.
Big Data. They actually just hit the it was like his first song, and he hit the Billboard's Top 100 with it.
And the other one, Dangerous. Yes, you said it's his first single, a big hit. So we're going to have him on for the first hour, and then in the second hour we're going to have Tunnel X, which is why Charles wants to be here. It's going to be talk about private online conversations, what those are, and and what it is that they do, and he's really interested in that. So we're going to be talking to Tunnel X in the second hour. So it's going to be an interesting show Monday.
60 seconds.
In the meantime, the weekend is upon us. Have a great weekend. Go see a great movie, or just sit back, relax, have a good time, and there are a couple of good movies coming out. We can get into that. The Equalizer's out this week. And last week there was a new one called The Maze Runner, which I didn't even know about until just now. So that looks really cool. So if you're looking for some interesting movies, you might want to check out The Maze Runner and The Equalizer. They're all out.
Maze Runner, I told you about. That was the Hunger Games clone.
Oh, okay. Well, it looks pretty cool. I saw the preview for it. So anyway, check it out. And happy birthday to me one more time. And we'll see you on Monday night. So until Monday night, this is Craig Crossman hoping that your hard disk never becomes floppy. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you Monday night.
10 seconds.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye.
Okay, and thanks for everybody watching us here in Google Hangouts. I hope you had a good time. Have a great weekend. Thanks again, Mike, for being here with us.
Good to be here with you guys.
All right. And we'll see you next month, Mike. All right?
All right.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.